Have you ever wondered, what does love really mean? How to build a relationship that is not only sustainable but also happy? Welcome to the channel, Stoic Love Wisdom. This is where lessons about love will help you better understand this complex emotion. In today's video, we will learn about 7 ways to react wisely when she suddenly pulls away. These are things that may change the way you look at love and life. Be prepared because the secrets and insights you are about to discover may make you look back at yourself and the relationships around you. Before we begin, find a quiet space, put on your headphones and relax. Let your mind completely immerse in these shares and enjoy every wonderful moment. Are you ready to discover new things about love? Let's start the journey with us right now. She doesn't call as often. Her replies are colder. The warmth that once felt effortless now feels manufactured. And suddenly, you're no longer just navigating a relationship, you're confronting your own reflection. Your fears. Your patterns. Your impulses. But this is not the time to panic. It's the time to pause. Because how you respond when she grows distant says more about you than about her. This is where Stoicism begins, not in control, but in self-mastery. 1. Don't react immediately, master your emotions first. There's a strange silence in the conversation. Her replies are shorter. Slower. Colder. Something feels off, and your heart knows it before your mind can explain it. That uncomfortable pit in your stomach is trying to scream, something's wrong. And it's in this exact moment, this emotionally volatile space, that most people sabotage themselves. They panic. They overthink. They start sending impulsive texts. They beg for clarity, affection, reassurance. And unknowingly, they erode the very foundation of respect and attraction they once had. But if you're guided by Stoic wisdom, you'll do something entirely different. You'll pause. Reactivity is weakness. Restraint is strength. The Stoic philosophers, from Marcus Aurelius to Epictetus, knew one powerful truth: emotions are visitors, not rulers. To live wisely is to observe your emotional responses without becoming enslaved by them. So when someone you care about suddenly pulls away, the most important thing is not what they do, but what you choose to do next. And the strongest choice you can make is, do nothing, yet. Not because you don't care. But because you refuse to act from a place of desperation, fear, or confusion. Emotionally charged action is rarely wise action. Let's be honest. When someone you love begins to act distant, it touches a deep human fear: rejection. Abandonment. You feel the urge to fix things now. To get answers. To win them back. But that urgency is a trap. What you're really trying to do is soothe your own discomfort, not solve the situation with clarity. Stoicism teaches that between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space is your power. Your dignity. Your self-respect. Most people shrink this space to zero, they react instantly. But you, walking the Stoic path, must learn to expand that space. To sit with the tension instead of acting it out. Observe your emotions, don't obey them. Marcus Aurelius wrote in his Meditations, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this, and you will find strength. When emotions arise, anxiety, sadness, confusion, don't suppress them. And don't feed them either. Instead, observe them like clouds passing through the sky. Ask yourself, what exactly am I feeling right now? What story am I telling myself? What do I want to do, and why? If I wasn't afraid of losing her, what would I choose to do? This is not emotional repression. It's emotional clarity. You're not running from how you feel. You're rising above it. Your restraint is not silence, it is strategy. Doing nothing doesn't mean you don't care. It means you care enough about your integrity to act from groundedness, not impulse. Imagine sending a flood of emotional texts, demanding explanations, clinging to connection. Even if you get a reply, you'll know, deep down, that you acted from fear, not from strength. But if you hold your space, observe, breathe, reflect, you position yourself as someone who is emotionally disciplined. That's rare. That's magnetic. That's stoic. And when you do choose to speak or act, it will come from clarity, not chaos. The moment you want to react the most, is the moment you must wait the longest. This is one of the greatest paradoxes of life. When your ego is screaming, your heart is racing, and your mind is spinning, that is precisely when you need to step back. Stoicism is not about being cold. It's about being in control. It's about leading your life, not being led by your fears. So if she's becoming distant, let her. Let the silence be what it is. Let the space exist. And let yourself feel, without becoming enslaved to the feeling. Because when the storm passes, and it will, you'll be proud that you didn't flinch. You'll know that you didn't betray yourself trying to hold on to someone else. And whether she returns or not, you'll remain centered, unshaken, unbroken, unmoved by the tides of temporary emotion. 2. Question yourself, not her. When she pulls away, the first instinct is often to chase answers. Why is she doing this? Did I say something wrong? Is she losing interest? Is there someone else? We scramble for clues. Reread messages. Rewind conversations. Try to decode her silences like a mystery we're desperate to solve. But Stoicism teaches a radical shift in focus: turn your questions inward, not outward. Because true clarity never comes from interrogating others. It comes from examining your own mind. You cannot control her thoughts, but you can control your response to them. This is one of the most powerful Stoic teachings: we are disturbed not by events, but by our judgments about them. What's happening here? She's distant. That's all you know. Everything else, the fear, the stories, the assumptions, comes from your interpretation, not the event itself. And if your mind is untrained, it will default to worst-case scenarios. But the Stoic doesn't chase speculation. He practices discernment. He asks, what is within my control? What is not? Her behavior, her emotions, her attention, not your control. Your mindset, your emotional regulation, your interpretation, entirely your control. So instead of trying to change her, the Stoic questions himself, what am I feeling, and why? Am I reacting from fear, pride, or insecurity? What outcome am I attached to? Is my desire to talk to her? Or to escape my own discomfort? Clarity begins when projection ends. When we feel rejected, we often project our wounds onto the other person. We see their silence not for what it is, but for what we fear it means. And so we ask the wrong questions, to the wrong person. Why are you ignoring me? Do you still care? Tell me what I did wrong. These questions rarely lead to peace. Even if answered, they still come from an anxious place. But here's what a Stoic knows. Sometimes the answer you need is not in her words, it's in your own self-awareness. Instead of asking why she's distant, ask, why am I so shaken by this distance? What does it trigger in me? Am I afraid of abandonment, or of being alone with myself? These questions take courage. They require radical self-honesty. But they also lead to freedom. Because once you see your emotional triggers clearly, they stop controlling you. The danger of outsourcing your emotional security, it tells you. Your peace must be rooted in yourself, not in how someone else treats you. So when someone pulls away, do not pull harder. When someone goes quiet, do not raise your volume. When someone becomes unsure, do not try to convince. Instead, return to yourself. Build such inner strength that you no longer need constant reassurance from anyone. Stillness is not indifference, it is insight. By turning your questions inward, you shift from reaction to reflection. You're no longer trying to fix something outside of you, you're examining what's happening within you. That's where real transformation begins. You'll realize that most of the emotional pain wasn't caused by her behavior, but by your resistance to it. Your story about it. Your fear of what it might mean. But when you sit with your emotions without trying to run from them, you discover a hidden strength. The strength to not need closure to move forward. The strength to let go without resentment. The strength to stay composed even when everything feels uncertain. Ask the questions that make you stronger, not weaker. Don't ask, how do I make her come back? Ask, what parts of me are still afraid of being left behind? Don't ask, how do I make her love me again? Ask, how do I love myself so deeply that I no longer beg for crumbs of attention? Because that is the Stoic's path, not to manipulate reality, but to master the self. To meet adversity with insight. To ask better questions, not to others, but to your own soul. And in doing so, you'll realize that the distance she created was the space you needed to return to yourself. Have you ever encountered a similar situation? If so, please tell me your story in the comments. I look forward to hearing interesting experiences from you. And if you find this content useful, please like and share to spread the message to more people. Thank you for your support. Let's continue together. 3. Observe, don't interpret. She starts replying late. Her tone feels different. There's a change, subtle but real. And suddenly, your mind ignites with stories. She's losing interest. She's testing me. She must be seeing someone else. Without realizing it, you stop seeing reality as it is, and start seeing it through the lens of fear, attachment, and insecurity. This is what the Stoics warned against, confusing perception with truth. A Stoic doesn't assume. He doesn't dramatize. He does something far more powerful, he observes. What is, versus what you think it means. The cornerstone of Stoic wisdom is objectivity. To see clearly, you must learn to separate the event from the story you tell about it. Here's the event: she hasn't texted all day. That's a fact. Here's the interpretation: she's done with me. I must have pushed her away. It's over. That's your mind filling in the silence with noise. But facts are rarely painful. It's your interpretation that creates suffering. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If you are pained by anything external, it is not this thing itself that disturbs you, but your judgment about it, and it is in your power to wipe out that judgment." And that's the Stoic task, to see things as they are, not as your fear paints them. The danger of mental storytelling. The human brain is a meaning-making machine. When faced with uncertainty, it creates narratives to feel in control. But control built on assumption is fragile, and usually destructive. You think you're gaining clarity, but you're actually building a mental prison. And worse, you begin to react to your story, not to reality. You grow cold toward her, thinking she's pulling away. You grow desperate, thinking she's lost interest. You say things you later regret, not because of what happened, but because of what you imagined. You sabotage not from truth, but from illusion. A Stoic sees this for what it is. A trap of the undisciplined mind. Reality is enough, if you're strong enough to face it. Here's a Stoic discipline: only act based on what you can verify. Not what you assume. Not what you fear. Not what your insecurity whispers. If she is distant, acknowledge that. But do not layer it with meaning until she tells you something directly. Let her silence be silence. Let her space be space. Let things be as they are, no more, no less. It takes strength to resist the urge to label everything. But in that restraint is your power. Observation brings peace. Interpretation invites chaos. Observation is quiet. It sees, she hasn't responded. It concludes nothing beyond that. Interpretation, on the other hand, is loud. It spins, she must not care anymore. Maybe I said too much. Or not enough. Maybe she's moving on. And now your nervous system is hijacked by fantasies. But the Stoic doesn't chase ghosts. He returns to the only thing he can be certain of, the present moment. He looks at what is in front of him. He refuses to add drama. He keeps his mind clean. The practice: discipline your thoughts like a warrior. Epictetus taught that the mind must be trained daily, like a body. To observe instead of interpret is not passive, it's a mental workout. Try this: when you notice her behavior change, name only what you can prove. When your thoughts spiral into meaning, pause and return to the observable. When emotion rises, don't feed it, breathe through it. You will feel calmer. You will see clearer. You will no longer live at the mercy of what-ifs. Strength is found in stillness, not speculation. It's tempting to want to know. To connect every dot. To solve every silence. But some things are unknown, and will remain so. The Stoic doesn't fight that. He accepts uncertainty as part of life. He knows that the need for constant answers is a form of fear. And he knows that real peace comes not from knowing everything, but from not needing to. So when she grows quiet, don't rush to interpret. Observe. Breathe. Let reality be your anchor, not imagination. And in that stillness, you'll find something rare, the kind of inner calm that no one can take from you, not even her. 4. Maintain dignity. Don't trade self-respect to keep someone. When someone begins to drift away, a quiet panic often rises. You feel the urge to reach for them. To convince, to please, to prove that you're worth staying for. You may find yourself crafting longer messages. Checking if they've seen your last one. Wondering if silence means rejection. And in that anxious loop, there's a temptation to trade your dignity for a sense of connection. But the Stoic refuses that trade. Because he knows, the cost of abandoning yourself is never worth it. You were not born to beg for presence. You were built to embody value. A person guided by Stoic principles understands this: love is a gift, not a transaction. It must be offered freely, not extracted through pressure or persuasion. And when someone begins to create distance, the last thing a Stoic will do is cling. He will not try to win them back by sacrificing his standards. He will not perform emotional acrobatics for attention. Because he knows that the moment he does, he's no longer acting from strength, he's acting from fear. And fear is not a foundation for love. It's a symptom of dependency. Self-respect is non-negotiable, even in love. Marcus Aurelius said, "It can ruin your life only if it ruins your character." The moment you start acting against your principles to keep someone, your character begins to erode. You shrink to fit their comfort. You betray your boundaries. And maybe, just maybe, they stay. But what stays is not love. It's control. It's imbalance. It's an arrangement built on emotional compromise, not mutual respect. A Stoic doesn't settle for that. He chooses solitude over submission. Because to him, losing someone is not as dangerous as losing himself. The illusion of keeping someone. When she grows distant, your instinct might be to pull her closer. But the very act of chasing often deepens the gap. Why? Because no one values what is given too easily, especially if it comes from a place of need. And no one truly feels safe in the presence of someone who cannot stand on their own. A Stoic does not try to keep anyone. He does not play games or offer more than he is willing to lose. Instead, he offers his presence fully, and lets others choose. And if they leave, he lets them go with grace. Composure is more attractive than desperation. There is nothing magnetic about a man who loses himself when someone pulls away. What is magnetic? Stillness. Clarity. Self-possession. Imagine someone walks away, and you do not chase. You don't lash out. You don't guilt them. You simply remain grounded, rooted in who you are, not who they want you to be. That posture, calm, unfazed, whole, says something louder than words. I value you, but I will never abandon myself to keep you. And paradoxically, it is often that very strength that pulls people back, not neediness, not pleading. Detachment is not indifference, it's integrity. To remain dignified doesn't mean you don't feel. You may feel hurt, confused, sad. But a Stoic does not let those feelings make decisions for him. He honors his emotions, but he follows his values. He knows that any relationship worth having must allow both people to remain whole, not reduced. So when faced with distance, he doesn't collapse inward. He expands, reflects, strengthens. And he continues to walk his path, whether alone or accompanied. Because his dignity is not up for negotiation. Let them walk, but never bow to be followed. If someone creates space between you, don't fill it with apologies you don't owe. Don't close the gap with compromise that violates your truth. Let them walk. Let them question. Let them go. And if they return, let it be because they are drawn to your wholeness, not your need. Because the Stoic knows this truth, any love that requires you to shrink yourself is not love, it's dependency. And there is no dignity in dependency. 5. Focus on what you can improve. When someone you care about pulls away, your attention instinctively turns outward. You watch their every move. You analyze their silence. You try to decipher what's happening in them, what changed, why, when, how. But the Stoic understands this crucial truth: the outer world is often unpredictable, the inner world is always your responsibility. And so instead of obsessing over what you cannot control, you turn toward the only thing you truly can, yourself. Adversity is a mirror, not a verdict. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this, and you will find strength. When she becomes distant, it feels personal. But a Stoic doesn't take it that way. He doesn't view her distance as a rejection, he views it as a reflection. A reflection of where he stands emotionally. A test of his stability. A call to examine, what can I strengthen in myself, regardless of what she chooses to do. He doesn't spiral. He doesn't blame. He builds. Pain is raw material for self-mastery. Emotional discomfort, when met with awareness, becomes fuel for growth. You feel the sting of uncertainty. Good. That means something real is at stake. But the question is, will you let that discomfort consume you, or will you let it sharpen you? Will you scroll through her socials at midnight, or go for a run and let your body breathe? Will you overthink every interaction, or reflect honestly on how you've shown up? Will you beg for her attention, or quietly improve yourself until you no longer feel the need? A Stoic always chooses the second path. Not because it's easy, but because it's honorable. Work on the man in the mirror, not the message in her phone. This is the turning point. When she becomes distant, most men start trying to become mind readers. They obsess over clues. They ask friends for interpretations. They replay conversations. But a Stoic does not chase understanding where there is silence. He uses that silence as space to grow. He asks himself, am I living with purpose, or waiting for validation? Am I emotionally stable, or emotionally reactive? Am I becoming the man I admire, or the man who needs approval to feel worthy? Because the highest form of respect is self-respect. And that is earned, not through someone's love, but through your discipline. Improvement silences insecurity. Insecurity thrives in idleness. It feeds on your stillness, your inaction, your waiting. But when you move, when you read, train, build, reflect, something powerful happens. Your need for answers begins to fade. You stop checking your phone. You stop measuring her interest. You stop assigning your worth to her attention. Why? Because you're too busy becoming someone you're proud of. And that kind of self-focus is magnetic, not to impress her, but to align with your own values. You cannot control her, but you can become undeniable. The Stoic never sets out to win someone back. He doesn't operate from fear of loss, he operates from commitment to growth. If she leaves, so be it. But let her leave seeing a man who kept his posture. A man who didn't crumble. A man who didn't chase, because he was too busy chasing excellence. And if she comes back, she'll find someone stronger, clearer, and more grounded than before. But even if she doesn't, he'll still have one. Because he became better for it. Make the silence a forge, not a prison. You have two choices, wait, or work. Panic, or prepare. Cling, or create. The Stoic chooses to create. He uses the discomfort as a forge. He sharpens his discipline. Refines his character. Reclaims his time. Because whether she returns or disappears forever, he refuses to let her change determine his path. And that is power. If you are still watching this video, do not hesitate to comment, continue, to let me know. Leave your thoughts and questions in the comments section below. I look forward to hearing from you, and do not forget to like and subscribe to the channel so that I have more motivation to create more good and meaningful videos. Let's continue together. 6. Accept all outcomes, because you are built to endure them. You've done your part. You've stayed calm. You've reflected. You've grown. But the questions remain, what if she doesn't come back? What if this distance becomes permanent? What if everything you hoped for quietly slips away? This is the moment where many people collapse inward. But the Stoic does not. Why? Because a Stoic prepares not just for victory, but for loss. Not because he expects it, but because he refuses to be broken by it. The outcome is not yours to decide, only your character is. Epictetus taught this with piercing clarity: make the best use of what is in your power, and take the rest as it happens. That's the essence of Stoic resilience. You are not responsible for her decisions, her emotions, or the path she chooses to walk. You are responsible for how you meet reality when it arrives. If she comes closer again, welcome her with steadiness. If she drifts further away, let her go without bitterness. Either way, you remain whole. Either way, you remain yourself. Because your identity was never meant to hinge on her presence. Let go of the illusion that love guarantees permanence. We often carry a hidden assumption: if the connection is real, it should last. If it fades, something must have gone wrong. But that's not what life teaches. People change. Situations shift. Desires evolve. The Stoic doesn't resist these truths. He embraces them as natural. He knows that permanence is never promised. And trying to cling to it only creates suffering. So instead of grasping at what's slipping, he opens his hands, and his heart, to whatever will be. Not because he feels nothing, but because he's learned to feel everything without breaking. You've already survived more than you remember. In the moment, it can feel like the loss of a connection is the loss of everything. But pause. Look back. Think of the other endings you once thought you wouldn't survive. The people who left. The dreams that died. The moments that shattered you. And yet, here you are. Still breathing. Still walking. Still capable of love, of strength, of clarity. That is your proof, you are stronger than circumstance. Pain is temporary. Character is forever. If the distance becomes a breakup, or if she never offers an explanation, you will feel the sting. But the Stoic doesn't run from pain. He lets it pass through. He welcomes it as part of being human. Because he knows that pain refines what comfort cannot. It teaches patience. It deepens perspective. It builds emotional calluses, not to harden the heart, but to protect what's sacred inside. So yes, it may hurt. But hurt is not ruin. Pain is not defeat. What defines you is not what happens, but how you carry yourself after it happens. The world can take many things, but not your response. You can lose affection, promises, even people. But you will never lose your power to choose how you meet what remains. The Stoic strength is not that he avoids loss. It's that he transforms loss into fuel. Into reflection. Into refinement. Into resolve. He doesn't ask, why is this happening to me? He asks, who can I become because of this? And that mindset makes him unshakable. Let go, not to escape, but to transcend. To accept all outcomes does not mean you feel nothing. It means you no longer require a certain outcome in order to be at peace. That is real freedom. You wanted connection. You offered presence. You acted with honor. Now, you let reality unfold, without protest, without desperation. If she comes back, you welcome her with grace. If she doesn't, you carry on with quiet strength. Because your life doesn't end when someone exits. Your path doesn't collapse when someone turns away. You were whole before her. You will be whole after. And deep down, you know this, you were built for whatever life brings. 7. Be grateful for the experience, even the distance. Most people view distance as a loss. As something to mourn. To regret. To resent. But the Stoic sees it differently. He knows that every experience, even the painful ones, especially the painful ones, carries a hidden gift. And instead of asking, why did this happen to me? He asks, what did this awaken in me? Because to the Stoic, even distance is not something to resist. It is something to respect, to learn from, and eventually, to be grateful for. Life doesn't owe you permanence, only perspective. Nothing in this life is guaranteed to last. Not relationships. Not affection. Not even the moments you cherish most. What you are guaranteed, however, is the ability to find meaning in what occurs. The Stoic does not cling to what has changed. He honors that it once was. He lets go with reverence, not bitterness. Because gratitude is not based on how long something lasted. It's based on how deeply it shaped you. So if she entered your life and showed you something beautiful, even briefly, say thank you. Not because she stayed, but because she revealed something in you worth remembering. Emotional pain is not a punishment, it's a lesson in awareness. The sting of distance forces reflection. It quiets the noise and magnifies the truth. It teaches you what parts of yourself are still afraid. What parts still attach too quickly. What wounds are still tender. What stories you tell yourself when someone stops showing up. These lessons are not gentle, but they are precise. And if you listen closely, you'll hear something deeper than pain. You'll hear growth whispering, this, too, is shaping you. A Stoic welcomes that message. Don't forget what this experience gave you. It's easy to fixate on the end, on the silence, the distance, the change. But look deeper. What did this connection awaken in you? Did it remind you of your capacity to care? Did it challenge your ego? Did it teach you patience, humility, restraint? Did it reveal your emotional patterns, the ones you now see more clearly? If it gave you even one of these gifts, it wasn't for nothing. Even if it didn't last. Even if it ended in confusion. A Stoic knows, not all value is found in longevity. Some value is found in clarity. Choose gratitude. Not because it's easy, but because it's powerful. Gratitude in the face of loss is the highest form of inner discipline. It doesn't mean you wanted things to end. It means you're strong enough to see the good anyway. And that choice changes everything. It changes how you remember them. It changes how you speak to yourself about the past. It changes how you move forward, not hardened, but wiser. So instead of replaying what went wrong, say quietly, thank you for the lesson. Thank you for the mirror. Thank you for the moment. And then, walk forward without anger in your chest. Letting go in gratitude leaves no residue of regret. Bitterness holds you hostage to what can't be undone. Gratitude releases you with grace. It softens the story. It allows peace to return. It honors what was, without demanding that it be more. The Stoic does not resent what is lost. He celebrates that he was present enough to feel it in the first place. That's a deeper kind of richness. One not dependent on outcome. Distance is not just an ending, it's a transformation. If you let it, the space between you and her becomes space within yourself. It becomes a pause. A breath. A clearing. A threshold to a wiser, more centered version of who you are. And at some point, maybe not today, maybe not next week, you will look back and realize, you're no longer aching for answers. You're no longer tied to the hope of return. You're simply grateful that it happened. That you lived through it. That it made you more of who you were meant to become. And that is enough. Conclusion. When she grows distant, you are not just facing a shift in the relationship, you are facing a moment of truth within yourself. Most people react. They plead, chase, overthink, collapse. But the Stoic pauses. He observes. He reflects. Because he knows that distance is not just about her, it's about the man he chooses to be in response. This is your test. Will you let emotion dictate your actions, or will you rise above it? Will you trade your dignity to maintain connection, or will you honor your self-respect? Will you spiral into uncertainty, or will you use the silence to return to your center? Every chapter of this experience is an invitation, not to fix her, but to fortify you. You learn to master your emotions, to question your thoughts, to detach from fantasy, to protect your dignity, to improve yourself, to accept any outcome with grace, and to remain grateful for the journey, even if it doesn't lead where you hoped. Because the goal was never to control the story, it was to grow through it. And if she returns, let her find a man who didn't shrink in her absence. If she doesn't, let her absence be what helped shape that man. In the end, love may come and go. But character, true, cultivated character, stays. And that is what makes you unbreakable. Thank you for watching the video until the end. I hope that today's sharing about love will bring you new perspectives and help you gain valuable lessons. If you find the video useful, don't forget to like, subscribe to the channel and share with your loved ones. I am very grateful for your companionship, and hope that each video will help you get closer to a happy and sustainable love. See you in the next videos. Wish you a wonderful and inspiring day.